back, Barbarians. We are back with another banger for you. I got one of my very, very dear friends on the line tonight, and I'm very excited to introduce you to this guest because he's a mentor, he's a friend, he's a businessman, he's a local hero, in my opinion, and in his community's opinion as well, I'm sure. All around fucking savage, to be blunt. Derek Depew, Mr. Derek Depew, thank you so much for your time tonight, bro. I really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, this has been a long time coming, to be honest with you. I'm really excited about this because a lot of people know you from like the hunting world and like the entrepreneur, but they don't really know the Derek that I know, and that's like this creature of resilience. Like you are from another planet when it comes to suffering and smiling about it, and I got a lot of respect for that, man.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. So before we start tonight's show, I want to give a shout out to True Work. True Work is presenting this show. They've been kind enough to partner with us and help us bring some of these shows to the audience. I would definitely check out the flannels, Derek. I know you like flannels too. These tech flannels are incredible. They're comfortable, and your wife thinks you look snazzy when you wear them. So it's like a double bonus. So be sure to check out True Work. You can even get this Whoopie vest. This is super warm as well. But thank you, True Work, for sponsoring today's show and for supporting us from just grassroots. It goes more than I could even begin to imagine. It means the world to me. Derek, my man, let's dig into your background. Dive in. Tell me about yourself. I know about you, but tell the audience about you.
I am a 43-year-old husband, father, police officer, and love the outdoors. Love hunting, fishing, hiking, camping. I love competition shooting. I love fitness. I love business. I love everything.
Competition. That's it better than the opposite of that, where you just hate everything and you're a miserable prick, right?
I think it's a mixture of both. Like, I do hate everything, but I mean, at times, even the things that I love the most, I hate. So,
yeah, like sitting in a tree stand.
Yeah, I love it for like the first 10 minutes of the year.
Yeah, that panned out for you this year, though. That was an incredible buck that you were able to shoot at point blank.
Yeah, I'm still in shock, man. When I went meh and he threw his head up, I was like, "What? Wait, what?" Yeah, I was like, "Oh my god!" So
yeah, no, that's incredible. But let's dig into your background, man. Tell us about what you did, what you came up. What do you know? I know you're a cop now, but you have some blue collar experience, right?
Yeah, man. So I got out of college, and actually, when I got out of high school, I didn't know what I was going to do, man. It's around here, you either go to the mill, you work in a refinery, you jump in a trade. That's what you do. And so I had a buddy call me. He says, "Hey," he says, "You ever thought about being a conservation officer?" And this kid I've been friends with since I was like 5 years old. I said, "Yeah." I said, not really, dude. I said, he's like, "Well, I'm leaving for school next month. You want to go?" I'm like, "Okay." so away I went. And you know what? I got out of college and I started applying like crazy, man. I applied in Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, anywhere I could. And it was always the same story, anywhere from 5,000 to 12,000 people applying for one or two spots. Very, very rigorous testing process. And it just got old after about 2.5 years of testing. I was like, the idea came into my head to be a police officer. And I was like, you know what, let's roll with it. But in the meantime, I got a real close friend too. He's big in the trades. He's been a union man his whole life. He's was a union carpenter and then went into union ironworking. So he was a union carpenter at the time. He says, "Hey man, I know you're looking for work. You just got out of school." He says, "I can get you a job tomorrow working for this framing company. Go build houses." And I said, "All right, whatever. Cool, man." So I went and bought a belt, bought some tools, and went to work, man. And like during that time, I had no idea where I was going to be. And I remember my old man telling me, he's like, just promise me you won't go into the mill. He said, I've worked here my whole life. He said, just don't go into the mill. And I thought, it's a respectable job. Growing up, he provided for us and everything was great. So I didn't see a problem, but he just didn't want me in the coke plants covered in coke dust and all kind of other bullshit. He didn't want me roll grinding. So it came down to it. I started framing houses. I did that for, 2 or 3 months, and I took a bad fall. I was building a custom home, and they sent me away for a while. And I came back to the job, and they were up to the third floor, and the guy says, I need some interior walls built upstairs. I was like, all right. So we didn't have stairs in yet, just ladders on the outside. So I climb up and I start framing walls with a bunk of plywood. In the middle of the room where one of the main load-bearing walls for that floor was going to run. So I was like, I got to get this plywood out of here. So I start carrying plywood. I get to the last sheet, and instead of picking it up, I just grabbed the corner, lifted it, would push it to slide it, take a step, and they had the hole cut for the stairwell. So as soon as I stepped, I went through the hole. Well, I tried to stop myself by holding out my arms, and all I did was flip me upside down. Dude, I went all the way down to the basement, bro, head first. Fucked me from the third floor. Fucked me up, dude. Yeah, so the only thing that saved me was it was the middle of winter, and every time it snowed, they swept the snow down the hole. And, dude, I landed like 8 inches from the lolly column cement pad. Like, it was literally right. So I came to, and there's red everywhere. All I see is red. I'm like, oh, I'm fucked up. Like, I'm freaking out. And I'm looking up in the hole, and I see my foreman. He's like, what the hell did you do that for? Like, he's like, so what the red I saw was the lumber company that supplied the pencils. They were all red pencils. They were all pencil shavings that were in the snow. So I'm looking around. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm good. So they pulled me out through one of them little basement windows. And I'm like, all right, man, I'm going to go back up there and finish this wall. And he's looking at me. He's like, man, you should go to the doctor. I said, nah, I'm good, dude. I said, I'm banged up, but I'm all right. So I go back up there. I start building walls. About 45 minutes goes by. And I was like, man, I'm hurting, dude. So I went down and I told the foreman, I said, hey, I gotta go. I'm in a lot of pain. He's like, yeah, you dumbass, go get it. I was like, all right. So I leave there. And at the time is when I was doing some bull riding and some other road stuff. So I called one of my buddies. I was like, hey, bro, I'm going to come pick you up. Let's go grab some beers. I'm banged up. I fell at work. And he's like, all right. So I get to his driveway, man. I had every intention going to the bar. And he gets in the truck. And, dude, I go, you got to get me to the hospital, bro. So he runs me to the hospital. I had a broken collarbone, like 6 broken ribs. I dislocated my knee. I was so fucked up, but the adrenaline had me going. So when I got back to work, and they're like, I just couldn't climb walls anymore. I was terrified. Anytime I get up on a plate, I start shaking. So I was like, this is for me. So he says, hey, man, why don't you get in the union? He's structural steel. He said, yeah, you'd be on beams and stuff. He said, but, it won't be too bad. I said, all right, cool. So I apply, I jump into the union, and I did union work for about 5 or 6 years. And middle of winter, it was like 40 below. It was cold, dude. 40-mile-an-hour winds, like 40 below zero. It was terrible. I'm sitting on this iron, like 30 stories up on this investment center we were building. And I'm draping plastic, getting ready to start framing. So we're draping plastic all the way down the building. And as I'm sitting up there on this frozen iron, I look down. This police officer pulls in the parking lot, pops his newspaper, and opens up his coffee and takes a sip. And I'm freezing my dick off. And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, what am I doing? So right then, that's when I started applying. That was about the same time when I transitioned to apply to police departments. So I applied them for a good 3 to 4 years, man. Solid. Probably 10 to 15 agencies a year going through processes. But I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any connections. I wasn't part of the law enforcement world, so it was tough. It was tough. But I finally landed a job, and here we are.
Here you are. So you get done with high school. I just want to recap. You get done with high school, go to school to be a conservation officer. That goes nowhere. get a buddy that's like, I could get you work tomorrow, come build houses, do that. Very short-lived, because essentially you fall nearly to your fucking death through a hole that you didn't see somehow. Decide I'm a bull rider and a cowboy idiot, like anybody that knows me probably thinks of me currently, and I go try to go drink it off, and realize I need my buddy to take me to the hospital, because I'm not going to cut it as a wingman in the bar tonight, or any kind of anything in the bar tonight. You're broken. Decide that it's time to now do the even smarter thing and climb higher up with your cat-like reflexes and do the iron worker thing.
Love you.
And then with the iron worker thing, you decide that being miserable, sitting riding iron, draping plastic maybe isn't for you after 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, it was still carpentry work, but it was steel studs, steel framing, so it was just miserable winter, just terrible.
And so then that began the process to get into the police department. So you busted your knuckles, you had enough of working in the elements, and then you decided, well, let's do this instead. Yeah. What was that process like?
So I had some people reach out. I did have a close friend whose grandmother was like a clerk for a sheriff somewhere, and they're like, "Hey, man, they can get you in tomorrow." And I'm like, "I'm not doing that. Like, I want to earn the spot." So it took me a while to get in, right? And law enforcement is tough as it is. Externally, dealing with the public is equally as challenging internally.
Right.
You have to understand there's type A personalities throughout the whole building, and it's hard to find your spot, right? So I worked in Indiana a little while, and then I made the transition into Illinois for one of the suburbs of Chicago, in south suburbs of Chicago. And it was a huge change for me. I didn't grow up in the city, so and to be fair, this isn't a city-like setting, but it is. I mean, it's a tough neighborhood, right?
Sure.
And so there's a lot of transitioning there. But honestly, I love it. It's part of who I am now. So.
Yeah, I've been doing that for 18 years.
Yeah, since 2005. It was the first police job I had.
Damn.
It only lasted a few weeks. I was let go. I don't even know why. To this day, they still didn't give a reason. It was a 5-officer town, including the chief, little podunk town, and I lived like 4 hours from there, so I didn't know anybody. So I think it was a small town politics thing. I don't know that. Till this day, I don't know. They never gave me a reason. I didn't do anything. I was never in trouble, never written up. They just one day said, "You know what? It's just not working out." I said, "Okay." So I cut my losses. That was a huge transition for me, because that was what I was set on doing. It took so long to get there. I finally got there, and then it didn't last.
Right.
So from there, now mind you, I was newly married, and I moved my whole family there. They didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody. And it was a fight to get there. So losing that job once we were down there, and I was only making $13 an hour. So it's not like I was down there making a huge salary to where I could afford to move and do all this stuff.
Might as well have a security guard at the mall, dude. Jesus.
Yeah. So tucked tail and came back home. And I actually applied to Tractor Supply Company because I had, some horse experience and some other things. So got picked up as a part-time employee. Within a few months, I was assistant store manager. I did that for a while. And a couple of years went by, and I had a bad taste in my mouth with the whole law enforcement thing. I saw something that was like volunteer. It's like, let me check it out. So I sent an application. I don't hear anything. Another year and a half goes by, and I'm like, I just written it off. I was like, well, I can make this into a regional manager for this and make a good coin and have a good living, right? Like a year and a half goes by, and this department calls me. They're like, hey, you put in an app for volunteer policing. Are you still interested? I'm like, I guess. He's like, what do you mean you guess? I'm like, well, you didn't have the courtesy to call me a year and a half ago. I was like, if you want to hire me, I guess I'm interested. I don't have anything extra going on now. So they ended up picking me up, and I worked there, did that for a while. I did some court officer and some dispatch stuff. I did all that while I continued to work for Tractor Supply. And then an opportunity came, and I jumped on it with Illinois. Nice. So I did some dispatching for a while. I did some police work for a while. I've been all over the place, man.
Yeah. And you're no stranger to scuffles and all that type of shit either, huh? So, as if the carpenter wasn't enough, banging your head against walls and falling through holes, you chose a career where you get to fight in the most lovely of places in the suburbs of Chicago at that. So, you're a knuckle dragger. I mean, through and through, you're a knuckle dragger, right? And that's what it's come to, essentially. But hey, I personally, I got a lot of respect for cops. I love what you guys do. I mean, for the most part, there's good and there's bad in everything, right? And I think it's cool to know that there's men like you out there that come from the world that most of us live in, like to have an experience beforehand rather than just some power tripping dickhead, right? Like, it's cool to know that there's men out there that genuinely do it because they care about their community. And that's kind of where you stand out to me in this, is because, full disclosure for the audience, you're a close friend of mine, so I know quite a bit. And I mean, you can't talk this man into quitting. I mean, you just can't. You can't talk him into just walk away. Fuck that shit, dude. Go do something that you want to do. Like, let's build an empire doing this or that. And you just got this unwavering commitment to your community, and I got a deep respect for it, man. I got to be honest, I do.
I remember applying for police departments. I was like I said, it was a couple years, maybe 3 or 4, I don't know. Application like 70, 80, 90, whatever the hell it was. And I just remember all my friends telling, why don't you just go do this? I'm like, I remember when I was working framing houses. And there was a time period in there right after college where I was building mobile cath labs, MRIs, like building these rooms into small semi-trailers for hospitals that couldn't afford to have the rooms themselves. So you build these trailers, they get shipped off, these hospitals buy them, and they're in their parking lot. So when somebody needs a MRI, they go into this trailer in the parking lot, get their MRI done. So I did that for a little while. So people would tell me all the time, like, what are you doing, man? Why don't you just go find something? I said, because you know what? I said, as I was going through all this, I had so many people tell me, oh, you'll never be a cop. Dude, you're not cop material. This isn't. I remember one time I was out, in my bar days, I was out drinking afterwards. And we went to a restaurant. That's what I was sitting down eating with some servers and some bouncers. And one of the guys looks at me, one of the bouncers, he's like, he laughs. He laughed at me right in front of everybody. And I was a fighter, man. Back then, I that's just what I was. And it took everything from me. I just smiled, ate my breakfast. I said, all right, motherfucker. That's what it took. And then there was no quit. So as I was going through this, I had friends tell me, dude, just give up, man. Just go do. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to let somebody else decide my future. Like, I'm going to make that decision when I'm ready to give up, when I'm ready to move forward with something else. And it's almost to a fault. Like, there's times where I'm so enthralled with what I'm chasing sometimes I forget what I'm chasing it for. It's the mindset where I'm gonna get this. I don't give a fuck what you say, what he says, what this person did, how they're trying to stop me. I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna do this because this is what I want. And I can thank my parents for that. They've always supported me. There's never a time where I'm looking back where they try to force something or do something upon me where they're like, this is what you want and it's meant to be. You'll have it. And that's what they used to tell me. So there was never a time where I was going to accept some outside fucking person that knows nothing about me tells me that, yeah, you're not going to do this, or yeah, you can't, or it just doesn't work that way.
I think a lot of people get lost in that today, though, to be honest with you, dude. Like, they live their life by limitations placed on them by their peers or by people that they think that they respect at a time, or people that they think that they look up to because they're in a position above them, or you make equal money. I mean, like, let's talk about being, like, in the trades in general, right? These same dickheads are the ones telling you, like, you make too much money to quit. Why would you do that? You're an idiot. Like, some money is better than no money. But they're also the same guys that 25 years from now are doing the same shit, and they never did anything but that for 25
You know what
years.
I never understood? Now, I spend like, I probably did like 8 years in construction. About 8 years. It's 3 years non, and like 4 or 5 years commercial. Regardless, these guys would make, back then, in the early 2000s, they're making 35, 38, 40 bucks an hour. And we're fucking broke, crying about not having any money 2 days before payday. I'm like, what the fuck, man? I'd never had a job prior to that making more than like 15 bucks an hour. So when I got in the union, it was like, I was rolling in money. You know what? I went out and I test drove a Dodge Viper at the time. And at the time, I think they were like $70,000 cars, $75,000 car. It was unheard of. But I'm like, I can afford this. I don't have any bills. You know what I mean? Like, but these guys, they'd go, and it'd be like 25, 26-year-old kids. They're just pissing their money away. I'm like, you're bringing a few grand a week home, and you're broke. It was weird, man. But it's, you know what? It rolls back to just money saving, like money habits, right? We're all terrible with that. I mean, most of us anyway. We're not raised with parents who were money savvy. So,
Or you want
but yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
No, and I don't judge any of those guys. I was that guy.
I was
make
too.
a ton of money, and I still check to check sometimes, depending on the job. Like on 40 hours, I'm going broke, and I make more money than my dad and his wife combined typically. But you know what? My bills and my expenses are more than theirs, probably more than they could ever imagine, because they don't have that lifestyle. They didn't earn this. They didn't earn the bills that you got to pay for, you know? And,
Yeah.
you know, some of these kids, I'll give you like, hey, man, quit going out and spending $100 a night on steak and drinks and dumb shit like that. Like, that's not the way. But you take pride that you are able to dress a little nice, that you can buy the new tools or have the boots or buy the toy.
Yeah.
That's what the fuck you're working for, so that you can do that stuff. So don't, like, there's no shame in anybody doing that. But as you get older, you realize that there's levels to this, and the people that make it and go above and beyond, they learn different trades and they learn to think differently than you. And that's something that I've picked up on, especially in the last couple of years, where it's like, damn, if I could run it back, right? If I could run it back, right now,
I remember there was a night, it was a Thursday, and I got paid. I wish I could have that night back, because I spent my whole fucking check at the bar that night. My whole check. I was so hammered. I woke up the next morning. I didn't have money to pay my truck payment. I didn't have money. So I was there too. I did it too. But it was just because at first going in that world, I'm like, nice, I got this money, you know, put it here. And then it turned into, I'm going to go out tonight. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to buy that. And then you're buying random shit just because you have the money. So I get it. I've been there. And I mean, even now, you know, the way things are going, it's usually check to check.
But that one's, now is not forever, right? That's something I've been
Yeah,
telling
for sure.
myself. Now is not forever. People that are going through it, you just got to remember to give yourself a little bit of grace. I'm not saying make excuses for yourself to keep being a dumbass, but now is not forever, like legitimately.
Right.
I love that you come from, banging nails and climbing iron and doing different shit and union and non-union, just finding your way. And then now I still would consider law enforcement blue collar. Now there is a white collar side of it, but I think like you guys are out cruising the streets and handling calls and doing all this other shit, investigate. Like, dude, it's grinding. It's long hours. It's fucking dealing with dickheads and communication skills and physical altercation skills. I mean, dude, you're running through the gambit of shit, and so to me, I would see that as still currently kind of like a blue collar thing, really. Um, what I want to switch gears to talk about here, because what people don't know is that you've built a couple different businesses from the ground up on your side time, and you've also experienced a lot of trauma and like been through some shit. And I want to highlight both, but I want to start with really quickly. Let's go down the rabbit hole to building a business, because what I want our audience to understand is that you have more time than you think you do. And what you do with that downtime can literally be the beginning of whatever it is you really want to do, or it can fund the things that you wouldn't normally be able to afford that are what you love to do, right? So talk to me about building, like taking your downtime and capitalizing on that.
So the bottom line is that you have way more time than you think. And it boils down to the pain that you think you're having isn't greater than your comfort. The moment that pain gets more than your comfort is when you'll start acting on whatever it is that you want to do. So, like for me, I was going through it. I hadn't really been injured much. I hadn't really been injured or had any issues aside from the construction thing on the job, but I just was feeling like there should be more, right? There's got to be more. There's more for it, and I know we all go through that, right? There's more to life. There's more. I'm meant for greater things.
Sure,
but
you are.
But the problem is the reason you don't know what those things are is because you're sitting on the couch scrolling through your phone, waiting for that moment, that aha. It's not going to happen. It's not real. I spent 4 years of my life doing that. There's no such thing. You have to take life and figure it the fuck out. What it is that you love, what it is that you want, why you're doing it, right? So for me, I got injured. Guy stole a car with some kids in it. I catch the guy. I get to fight with a guy. He's got a crack pipe. He's trying to hide under his leg. He won't open the door. He won't open the window. Trying to get the door open. The car's stolen. The kids are screaming in the back. They're not. To my knowledge at the time, this woman just called, said some guy just jumped in my car and stole it. But it turned out to be her boyfriend or something. So it's a brawl. It's me and this guy fighting. My partner shows up, still fighting, and I end up tearing my bicep, reconstructed shoulder surgery, all kinds of stuff, right? And I'm sitting on the couch, and it just kept resurfacing. Like, there's more to this. If this guy can do this, if that guy can do this, if all these people are making this happen, what am I missing? What am I doing? So I said, all right. I called my attorney. I said, I want to start a business. He's like, okay, because I was a workman's comp injury. He said, all right. He says, what is it that you want? I'm like, just online, e-commerce. And he says, well, it's not a problem. It doesn't affect what you're doing. So I think I'm losing you. I'm getting a little staticky, but
I can hear you. Yeah, no, I'm with you.
so anyway, he says, yeah, it's not going to affect your workman's comp. Go ahead. I'm like, all right. So I just Googled, dude, literally, bro. I picked up my phone and I just said, businesses you could start from your home on your smartphone. I didn't even own a computer.
Right.
I didn't even have social media. I had nothing. So I pick up my phone, I Google it, and the first thing that popped up was subscription boxes. So I spent the next 2 hours, not days, not months, 2 hours. And I'm gathering information. I got a freaking notepad next to me, and I'm on level 100 writing stuff down, typing stuff out. I called my wife. I said, I'm going to start a business. And she goes, what? I said, I'm going to start a subscription box business. She goes, yeah, whatever. Like I think she thought I was full of shit, but she supports me no matter what. Like I've never had an issue with that. She's there. So I jump into, I think it was called like subscription school or something. I don't know what it was, something online. Start diving into that. So learn about subscription business. And first thing I do is I go online. I find that there's 2 or 3 companies that do it already in the niche I was looking in, the hunting industry. So I order their boxes. I order one from each. See how it comes. Look at the packaging. Cool. It came within 2 or 3 days. I had a box, right? So I'm like, all right, what do I like about this? I wrote down. I said, what do I hate about this? And I wrote it down, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to start a business. So I went to work on logo work, business names. I just laid it out, man, and put it out on. I started a Facebook page, started an Instagram page, and then I just put it out there. I'm like, hey, does anybody know anything about starting an LLC? The guy says, yeah, I can help you with that. I'm like, cool. I met up with him, got the LLC dialed in, and away I went, man. I started calling companies instantly. I'm like, hey, I'm Derek. I'm thinking about starting a subscription box business. I'd like to work with you. This is what I'm doing, blah, blah. For the most part, most companies were receptive, man. They were like, cool, let's do it. And so in the beginning, I'm not gonna lie, it took a lot of time, a lot of commitment, a lot of time away from my, like in the evenings, from my wife and son. But I learned a lot of what not to do. You know, you're not gonna be good at something you just started. But I learned a lot. What I know, like when you're running a business, especially e-commerce business, if your customer service is on point, the other shit doesn't matter. And what I mean by that, like you can have delayed orders, you can have products that aren't perfect and you got to change things up, or, you know, things can go wrong. But if you're taking care of those people who are trusting you with their hard-earned money, that doesn't matter. It was a slow go, man. The first year, I think I finished the year off with like 25 subscribers. And I was grinding, dude. I didn't, like I said, I didn't have a social media presence. I didn't have an email list. I didn't have anything. So when it was all said and done, I was shipping about 500 boxes a month. My Instagram was at 20 some thousand. And, you know, my Facebook was at about 3,000 or 4,000 followers for that company. And, you know, so it can be done.
Yeah. So what you did is you went and identified that you have the time now, and no better time than to invest in yourself than when you have nothing but time. But for our audience, what can they do? Like when people are looking at this, where would you start in evaluating what time you have? Because there's that old adage, like you work 40 hours a week for someone else, right? But what do you do with the other 128 hours that you have? Right, and that
Sure.
and what that's referring to is there's 160 or 164 hours in a week or some shit like that, right? 150
Yeah.
for round numbers. Let's just say there's 150 hours in a week, and you use 40 of it. What are you doing with the other 110?
Right.
Right. Of that, you're sleeping 6 to 8 hours a night, so there's another 40, right? But then there's 80 hours that you're doing what with?
So,
right? I mean, and
yeah.
this is like the way people need to start evaluating
Yeah.
time.
So, there's a lot of people who talk about, well, you only need 5 or 6 hours of sleep. And then there's those that say, no, you need 8. So let's just say you do 8 hours, right? In a 24-hour period, you sleep for 8, okay? You work for 8, 10, 12. Let's say you work for 12. You have a family, right? Do you know if you spent, let's just say now, you're not doing anything, right? You're just going to work and coming home. If you take an hour a night, 1 hour, distraction-free with your phone aside, and spent that hour with your kids, or spent that hour with your wife, even 2 hours, let's just say 2, distraction-free, you still have 2 hours a night before you go to bed, before you crash, to sit down and build something for yourself. And you could look at it as, yeah, then I got to do more work. I like to relax, and I like to do this, and I like to go watch TV a little bit. It's what I love to do. Or I like to, again, like I stated earlier, the pain that you're feeling has to be greater than your comfort. If your comfort is, yeah, but I like doing this. Well, then you like doing that. Stop bitching that you want to start a business. Stop saying that you need more. Stop saying that there's more life, because there is more, but you do have to sacrifice. And I think if you look at it from a standpoint, you can't say, oh, I'm going to build this business, and by next year I'm going to be rich. You have to look at it from a realistic standpoint. You're putting in 2 hours a night, 14 hours a week, 28, 40, 50, whatever the fuck the hours is for the month.
Right.
You can build a lot in a 2-hour time block, distraction free, so you can get a lot accomplished. I set up a whole fucking business in 2.5 hours with no computer skills aside from typing in names and plates and typing a report for work. Like I built my own website. It looked like fucking garbage. I'm not gonna lie. My first website was terrible, but I did it myself, man. And that's how you learn. It's gonna be bad. You're not gonna drive traffic into your website and sell a bunch right off the bat. But how are you gonna learn if you don't start? So I think you have to have realistic expectations of where you want to be. Give yourself a year goal. Hey, you know what? By 3 months, say, hey, 3 months time. I think that's a respectable time frame from business idea to launch. Because it gives you time to build hype, build the processes and things in the background, and launch where people are prepared. You're coming, letting them know, and building that anticipation for people to want to come and buy from you. So you can set those goals. 3 months, I'm going to launch. Within a year, I want to be at this number, realistically, right? And then, have a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, or exit plan, or whatever your plan is. But it's just break it down. Just keep it realistic.
Yeah. So, and what I want our audience to understand about this is that you literally just took away the excuse. Okay, spend an hour a day, even an hour a day. That's 7 hours a week. That's 28 hours a month. That's 28 hours undistracted, mind you.
Yeah.
Invested into something, a lot can get done. I mean, a lot can get done.
Yeah.
The problem is we take these little things like this cell phone here, right? And we scroll. And 10 minutes turns into 15, turns into 20, turns into 44 minutes of your life. Scroll. We all do it, right? We're all guilty of it. Nobody's better than anybody in this arena. Like, it's just
right.
Something that it's what happens. And then you multiply that by 6 days a week. Let's say Sundays, if some of you are actually decent about putting your phone away, right? You do 6 days a week, but that's do your screen time. Like, just look at your screen time app. It'll probably make you disgusted to see how much you're on your phone every couple of minutes. Imagine if you were to spend 2 minutes building something. Every time that you wanted to scroll your phone because you're bored or you want to check a notification or something, you spent that same equal amount of time instead of on your phone, like jotting down relative ideas to what you're working on or something that's towards that, right? Like working on, say you're hand drawing your logo or you're writing your business plan or your mission statement. If you were to take the 2 minutes of the time that you have the urge to check that notification and put that into a sentence here, a paragraph there, right? Or a design idea here, or this type of clothing, that type of article of tool, this, you get what I'm saying, these list a partner company. If you're to put all that together, what you don't realize is you have way more time than you think once you, but you said it best, dude, and I think I got this from you, because I tell some of my friends, my close friends this, that are like going through it, I tell them, what's it going to take? Like, when is it going to hurt enough for you to do something about it? Because the truth is, dude, I mean, you nailed it. Like, until it hurts more than where your level of comfort is, you're not going to change shit. Like, it has to bug you enough to do something about it. Otherwise, I mean, you're going to hem and haw. I mean, look at 75 Hard. I mean, like, I'll be the first to tell you, I hemmed and hawed for 2.5 fucking years about something that I could have done 7 times over.
Yeah.
And then
I think a lot of it too is people just expect, I'm going to dive into this. I got to know what I'm doing. I don't want people to think that I'm an idiot. Well, you are an idiot. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. Like my kid yesterday in hockey, he leans up on the wall. He's like, "Dad, I'm not very good at this." And I said, "You're right. You're terrible." And he looks at me like, "You motherfucker." I'm like, "You can't expect to be good. You've never done this before." I said, "But think about this. When you walked on the ice, you could barely stand up." I said, "Now look at you. You're skating." So you can't expect to just pick something up and have no flaws. And people, you know what? Let's face it. It's better if people see you having flaws and fucking shit up than it is for you to be perfect. So stop trying to be perfect. Stop trying to be perfect. If you want to do something, let's say you want to be a gunsmith. Let's say that's your thing, right? You love guns. You'll do that. Gunsmithing would be cool for you. Go pick up a gunsmithing course. Go pick up some gunsmithing books. Start working on guns. It's the same thing as building a business. Like, spend a couple hours a night informing yourself, learning, becoming better until you're good enough to be in that position to leave whatever your job is and go be a gunsmith. Open up your own shop if you want. But you can't expect to just think of something. Hey, I want to do this. Oh, I can't do that. I don't know what I'm doing. Of course you don't. But if it's what you want to do, go give it a shot. Maybe you don't like it. Maybe you'll get into it and you fucking hate it, but you're not going to know that until you try.
I don't think you're ever going to be great at something until you're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, before you can be great, you got to not be. You know what I mean? You might be better or naturally gifted in some arenas of life or some certain assets of things, right? Or instances, excuse me. But you're never going to know until you go. Like, there has to be an element of repetition, period.
Yeah.
Right? They say mastery levels of 10,000 hours or 10,000 reps or whatever you have at that, right? But most people don't make it 10 minutes. You know? And it's funny because I was thinking about this the other day. So if they say, let's just say like 10,000 hours is mastery level, is where you could start to say that you have a mastery level of understanding of something or reputation. That would mean that, say, one single notion, dude, you should spend 5 to 6 years on a 40-hour work week, I'm saying. 5 to 6 years on a 40-hour work week. So think about going to work for 5 to 6 years to have a mastery level understanding at something you're interested in.
And you know what? People listening to this are going to pause and go, man, fuck that. Because they don't want to put in the work. And then it goes back to, well, then obviously you're not suffering enough or you don't want it enough to then sacrifice that time to get there. Like if you've played sports when you first started, you weren't good. And you kept going through school and you became better. But it was acceptable because you were a little kid learning how to play sports. Now you're an adult. What if people see that I don't know what I'm doing? Oh my God, I'm an idiot. Who gives a shit? You go on any person that you look up to, or any actor, or any influencer, or anybody online, and you go to their page, you pull up the first post, any post, pull it up and read the comments, and you will find motherfuckers talking shit about how retarded whatever they're talking about is. And you know what's funny is when you pull up their accounts or whatever it is, it's usually a young kid, or a lot of times it's young adult men, like guys who haven't been through enough and they want to bring other people down because it forces them to look in the mirror at what they haven't accomplished. So then it goes back to that can't be right. That can't be right because look where I'm at. It's not working for me. And they fall into this thing. Well, any account that you go on, any person, you're going to find people questioning what they're talking about. You got a guy who just broke the pull-up world record. And when he was training for that, the people that were commenting were like, that's terrible for your body. You're never going to grow a big back like that. You're beating a dead horse. I don't know why you're doing so many pull-ups if you're training. Because they don't, number one, they didn't even know that he was training for the world record. They were just running their fucking mouths because that's what they do. So just understand the fact that the minute you start doing something, people are going to talk shit. They're going to run their mouth. They're going to hate on you. You just have to deal with it. Everybody does.
Yeah, I think it's important to notate, though, that nobody doing more than you is running their mouth about you.
That's right.
That's right. To put it in perspective, legitimately, nobody, I don't care if they have more money than you or they've done more than you in a certain arena, nobody that's doing more than you is going to waste their time talking bad about you. The real killers out there that are real successful, that win at scale, they don't bother putting people down. They just encourage people. Because the truth is, failure is feedback, and they've ran into feedback or failure, if you will, more times than you'll probably ever know. The truth is that they were just too stubborn to quit. They get punched in the mouth and get back up. They get punched in the mouth day to day. I mean, let's talk about Andy Frisella, a serial entrepreneur. He took first form from an idea and sleeping in a mattress in the back of a supplement shop to $1 billion supplement company in a fitness and nutrition empire now.
Yeah.
And do you think he's wasting his time talking shit about GNC or any of these other people?
No. Absolutely not.
He doesn't care. He's just worried about building the next phase or the next iteration of his building, or building the next Gatorade, but first form, right? The next Nike, but first form. He doesn't give a shit about any of those guys. Now, I will tell you guys that are watching this that you need to be taking into consideration who you run your mouth about, because some of these people that you think you are going to talk shit about behind their back or whatnot, or to their network or whatnot, you have no idea who they know, how they're connected, and what power they truly have. I mean, I would tell you I would urge cautious, because if you run your mouth about the wrong person, you won't even know it was them, but they'll just have you removed. They can tell your business off in a second. They make a phone call to your suppliers. I mean, there is a game here, right?
Yeah.
So I would urge you to be cautious who you go after, or what you're trying to put down in doing these things, because karma is a motherfucker. But I can promise you that he's not worried about what you're thinking about him or what you're saying about him, nor does he care. I think that those guys actually, anybody that's really doing shit respects that you're trying. Let's be real.
Yeah. And you have to understand too, is to bounce off that, a true boss, A true leader isn't spending his time running his mouth. He's listening. His time is spent listening, sitting back and watching. So if you're always out running your mouth and venting, if you call it, whatever you call it, then you're no better than the ones that are doing that to you. So you have to be careful. You have to be careful.
And I'd say building a business would. So, in my pursuit of greatness or my own version of excellence, if you will, like all it's done is make me realize all the ways that I need to be better and take more accountability for myself. And it's helped me realize like I'm a human, man. I get caught up in drama or gossip just like anybody else, but I get out of it a lot faster now. I remove myself from that now way quicker. I'll catch myself thinking about something, and then now rather than spend 3 days pissed off going on about, like, I just let it go. But what I've realized is that the harder I work, the less I give a fuck about what anybody else is doing as well. Like I've just started to pour myself into what is hard and what's in front of me. And this is coming from a guy that spent a lot of his life worried about what people thought of him, like very insecure. And I mean, you've known me, you've seen me change in the last 2 years even, right? Like you're going to develop this grit to your character where you just don't give a shit. Like in this podcast, for example, I'm not worried about who could interview you better or what friend's podcast has got this and they're making money doing this and how did they. I'm worried about getting this episode in, and I'm worried about scheduling the next one and about what I can do a little bit better every fucking episode, how I can provide a little bit more value, how I can interview better, how I can be a better husband, how I can do this and be a better father, how can I set myself up so that I got a little bit of a buffer if God forbid something was to happen and I need a period of time to step away to do something else and not be involved with my hands in this at the moment. Like, I'm not worried about what any other motherfucker doing a podcast is doing currently. I'm worried about how I can do what I feel I need to do to provide value to this community, or how I can build that idea I have in my head into a reality, and I'm just executing. And I think it's funny because I think it's really easy for all these guys that were working, I work 60 or 80 hours a week, or I work 40 hours a week. Like, listen, that's respectable, but you're doing that for somebody else. And if you're not doing it for yourself, you're missing out, because the truth is what we all want, and I think you're full of shit if you disagree with this, but what we all want is autonomy. You want to be able to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, with who you want to do it with. That's what you want. Your version of it.
Right.
And there's different levels to that, right? Not everybody wants a Ferrari. Not everybody wants a Lambo. Not everybody wants a private jet or whatnot. Some people just want their wife and their kids on a Disneyland vacation, and that's fine, right? It's different levels and whatever. But everybody wants the freedom to do what they want, when they want, with who they want. Period. The end. But I can promise you're not going to do that following a cookie cutter fucking program. You're not.
No.
Because the system's not designed for you to get out.
I've been a part of a lot of coaching groups. And one thing that always had me feeling like I was fucked up and something was wrong with me was that I get in those groups and they want me to set, what's your goal for this year? What's this? What's that? And I felt like because I didn't want a Lambo, because I didn't want a McLaren, because I didn't want Rolexes, because I didn't want these materialistic things. I'm past that, dude. I'm content with who I am and what I want. I want, as you spoke about, freedom. I want freedom. I want the freedom to come and go as I please, go where I want, when I want, how I want. I don't want a $700,000 or $500,000 car sitting in my driveway. Well, do I want to drive one? Do I want to go play in one? Sure. Who doesn't? Who wouldn't want to go fucking 200 miles an hour down the road? That's cool, right? But I could do so much more with that 500,000 that I would enjoy personally. And when I would go on there and I felt like I was setting goals, I was setting them for somebody else. I wasn't setting them for me. I was putting these things on the board of what I wanted based on what others thought would be good. And part of it's my fault, right? I had these preconceived notions. So if you're mad or upset with the fact that you bring home $500 a week and you just think there's got to be a better life, but can't fathom $1 million months, $500,000 months, that's okay. I'm not saying it's okay to settle. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if your goal is simply to bring in $1,000 a week, make that goal reality, because it is extremely easy, extremely attainable. Maybe you don't know how to do that.
Yeah, so, but let's be realistic. Take 1,000. Let's make it. Let's get that up, like $5,000 or something, like, because I think, like, not to interrupt you, but one of the things that you're getting at, I love what you're saying, but there is a point here where, like, you're automatically going to lessen what you're going to try to do, like default.
Yeah, no. What I'm saying is, there's people out there that are in self-pity land. Oh, I only make this. I can only do that. What I'm getting at is to start, your goal shouldn't be, I want the mansion on the beach.
Sure.
And what I mean by that is, you can't set that and expect to have that in the next 2 years, because while it's attainable and while you can absolutely have that, you're going to fail right off the bat. And it's not that you're going to fail to a point where you're never going to achieve that, but you're going to fail at the things that you were trying to reach at such a rapid pace. It's going to discourage you to hit those smaller marks. So my point in this is, if you're making $500 a week and you're like, man, I don't even care about it, I just want $1,000 a week. I promise you, if you get around the right people, you'll get there. And when you get there, you're going to say, that wasn't so bad. I bet I could do $1,500 a week. I bet I can do $2,000 a week. And let's not make money the focus of bettering ourselves, because, I mean, let's face it, money does buy freedom. Okay, the more money you have, the more free you are to do and come and go as you please. But I'm using money as just an example.
Yeah, okay.
When you start achieving those, when you start achieving those goals, let's do weight loss. Let's just say you want to lose 100 pounds. You're like, dude, I got to lose 100 pounds. Yeah. Get the fuck off that train. Let's start by losing 10 pounds. Let's see where we're at. How are we going to lose this 10 pounds? Just like when you start your weight loss journey, the conversation that we had, you're like, I'm going to go in the gym tomorrow. I'm like, no. When you go in the gym tomorrow, get on the treadmill and just walk. Walk. I don't care if you walk 10 fucking miles. Walk. If you want to jog a little bit, jog. If you want to run a little bit, run. Don't go in there and tear up the fucking weight room, because the next 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 2 weeks that you do that and you don't get any results, you're going to fuck this, and you're going to be fucking discouraged. Go in there. Start small. Just get off your fuck. I don't care if you go outside and walk. And I promise you, you're going to lose that 10 pounds. Because you're going to have consistency. Well, going in there and hitting it hard for the next month in the gym every fucking day, if you haven't done anything, lose that 10 pounds a lot quicker? Fuck yes, it will. But it's not sustainable. And maybe you can sustain that, but it's more sustainable to set a realistic goal in the beginning and hit those goals. Hit the small goals, because when you hit the small goals, it builds confidence, and you'll start hitting the bigger goals. It'll give you the confidence saying, oh, I can do this. Fuck, I can do this. Oh, I got this one. I got this one. Fuck yeah, I got this one. Okay, oh, well, let's try this one. It's going to be a big one. Oh yeah, fuck yeah, I got that one. And then there you go. And you're off to the races. And so I think a lot of people, that's the biggest hang up, is they look at what they want as a whole and haven't focused on the micro things that need to be focused on in order to achieve that higher goal.
I think you gotta also. There's a portion of this where I don't want to say you have to be realistic with yourself, but you got to understand that these habits, money, health, whatever, you didn't wake up one day and this is what it is. You spent the last 15 years of your fucking life building this mess.
Yeah.
Building these bad habits, shoving this fucking disgusting food in your mouth, spending money like a glutton and like an idiot irresponsibly. Like, you're going to have to invest time to backtrack that. You have to retrain your mind to do life different. You have to have a different relationship with how you execute at life.
Yeah.
And like you said about getting burned out, like using me for an example, I couldn't look at myself with respect anymore. And I'm thankful that I had somebody like you to tell me to just, like, chip away at it, dude. Just keep going. Just walk and do this, and like, you're doing good, and just keep going. And sure, but for those people that don't think you have a support system, literally, in his reference here, when he's talking about like when I first told him I'm going to get started on this and do this, I literally spent the first 3 weeks walking on a treadmill, and that walk, just literally going in the mornings before work and walking for 45 minutes for the first 3 weeks or an hour, that walk led me to a place where I started to get curious about trying other things in the gym again. Not that I'm inexperienced. I never lifted weights in my life. I mean, for fuck's sake, dude, I was deployed in the Marine Corps. That's all we did.
Yeah.
Sometimes, right? But like, that I hadn't done it in 10 years, 12 years, that's a big deal. And so it's funny to me looking back is that walk turned into 100 pounds. That walk turned into changing the composition of my body. That walk turned into changing the way I look at myself when I look at the person that's looking back at me in the mirror now, the way I feel about myself. But that walk created curiosity. And somebody asked me this today. Actually, I was on the phone earlier today, and somebody asked me, like, do you think, like, audience, please pay attention to this. This is huge. Like, I promise you, I'm trying to make a point here. But somebody asked me, a close friend of mine asked me, do you think that there's a correlation? Did it all start with you, with your physical, to get your mental right? And the truth is that I think they run hand in hand. But the more that you do physical, what happens is you create confidence. When you start to execute and you start to do these things, you very slowly warm up that little engine that's inside of you that says, I can. And what that confidence does is it creates a curiosity. And what that curiosity does is it makes you wonder, I think I could do that. Oh, I'm curious about that. Oh, you think I could do that? No, I don't know, man. So, like, I think that there is a correlation for our guys that are sitting here and they're like, man, I just don't know what to do, whether it's weight loss, whether it's money. I think the disciplines in your life it all starts to me in your physical corner, 100%.
Think about the people that are like, I'm starting the gym. Like let's just go with New Year's resolutions. Yeah. You've been a fucking slob for 7 months. Let's just be realistic. 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, a year, whatever it's been, right? You've been a fucking slob for a year, and now you think tomorrow you're going to start 75 hard, and you've never done anything like that. And you see all these side-by-side comparisons that show this dude was fat, now he's ripped. This dude was overweight, now he's jacked. This chick, she's looking toned as hell. It's unfucking realistic. Because you haven't done anything. You've been on the couch on your phone. And you expect to just dive into some extreme fucking program and you're going to just follow it to a T perfectly and you're going to come out looking like this. Is it possible? If you're in enough pain, yes, it's possible. Fuck yes, it is. It's not probable. It's not realistic. It's not. You're not allowing yourself to gain the confidence to continue. You're going to go in there, you're going to give it hell, and you're going to skip on the food. You're going to eat a little piece of candy. You're going to forget to take a picture. Right? It's just a picture. Fuck, I'll just say I took it. Because you haven't done anything up until that point to get you disciplined to do something like that. Now, there's times where it works. You could just dive right in, do the program to a T. It takes some fucking grit. But you can't expect.
Center of my world, personally.
You can't. Yeah, you can't expect to go on an extreme fucking diet or extreme money makeover thing where you're going to be starting tomorrow. I'm going to be saving all this. I'm going to do all this, and I'm going to have this, and I'll cut out or diet. I'm going to cut out all sugar for the rest of the year. I'm going to cut out all. You're drinking 5 cans of fucking pop a day, but you're going to cut it all out for the rest of the year. How about you start? You know what? I drink 5 a day. I'm going to try to get down to 2. I think we had that conversation about energy drinks, and I'm like, listen, dude, you want to cut out sugar? You want to do this? I said, why don't you pick one? Get rid of it. Get rid of it. One. And if it's too hard to get rid of, then just cut back for now. Give yourself a couple of weeks. Let's not just get sedimentary and for a year we're cutting down to 2 No. Cut it back for a couple of weeks. See how you do. Because it's a lot easier to allow yourself a little leeway, right? You're going to do that anyway. Even if you extremely cut everything out, you're still going to have that shit unless you're a liar. So cut it back a little bit. I'm going to cut back. Oh, you know what? I drink 2 energy drinks a day. You know what? I'm going to cut it back to 1 this week. See how it goes. Oh, you know what? Maybe I'll cut it back to just the days I work. All right, cool. I did that. Now let's cut these out completely. You know, I only have them in the morning. I can have a coffee in the morning. Should be all right. Or I only have this energy drink in the afternoon. I can grab a cup of coffee. Like there's so many ways to negate the fact that you're going to quit and fail and give up that you just have to, like you said, you have to have the wherewithal. You have to have the understanding, realization of where you are at in life and what you've been doing to know where you're going and how you're going to get there. You can't just say, I've been a fucking slob the last 6 months, but I'm going to dive into this exercise program. Or I've been broke for the last 20 fucking years, but starting tomorrow, after my paycheck, I'm going to take this money, I'm going to put it aside. And every week I'm going to put money aside. And you're going to give an extreme number because you know that'll get you where you want to go faster. And it's not going to be sustainable. You'll start pulling from that money to buy this, to do that. It's just how we're wired. And if we just take a step back and say, hey, man, I know I can cut this out. But let's just cut back on it, see how I do. And then you'll do it. And you'll be like, fuck yeah. And then it'll spiral. And then you'll do better. And you'll build your confidence through the consistency. And
But again, I think there's a correlation in this to like, for me, what I've noticed, and I want I really want the audience to understand that, like, for me, I think it does start with the physical. Everything comes back to your physical health.
Yeah.
Once you start getting your body right, and listen, I'm not saying you need to look like Zeus to be successful. That's not what I'm saying. But once you start to get your body right, like I said, confidence creates curiosity. And curiosity creates change because you get curious about testing the boundaries of what you think is possible, what you know.
Yes.
It just slowly eats away at you to where you'll take bigger bites then, right? That all starts with making a change. So for our people that are listening to this, well, I make tons of money and I'm way overweight. Or my friend, yes, I'm not saying you can't. But what I'm telling you is to get to those places that you really want to get in life, it's going to come with a cost. And the sooner that you start to work on getting your confidence, the sooner your mind is going to follow with it. So when you get your body right, your mind starts to come with it. And then your mind starts to tell your body what you can and can't do. But then what you realize is you have this this voice inside of you that will start to control your mind and tell your mind what to tell you what you can't do. It doesn't, like for me, when I going through and dude, you're the king of challenges, so you get this, right? But when I'm going through something that's hard now, I don't let my mind tell me I can't do it. I tell my mind what I can and can't do now. I control the conversation of what sucks and what doesn't anymore. It's not, oh, it hurts, stop running. It's, yes, it hurts, keep running, right?
Yep.
Like, yes, it hurts, do another rep. Yes, I'm tired, get your ass out of bed. Not, oh, I'm tired, man, come on, just 3 more minutes, and then maybe it's, okay, my alarm goes off at 2:30, 2:35, no later than my feet are on the ground. It's not scroll fucking phone where I can fall asleep. It's not hit snooze. It's get up, stumble to the bathroom, take a piss, 1 foot in the shorts, the other foot in the shorts.
Yeah.
Half asleep, drowsy as fuck, stumbling down the stairs, putting your socks on, get your shoes on, remote start the truck if you got one of them, or your car or whatnot. Filling the water bottle like, okay, it's forcing yourself out the door to go and take action. Because where most of you guys are stuck, is on the action element. All of us think about what we want. All of us can write down what we want, but half of us can't take the first step. I venture to bet that number's more like even 80% because I was that guy that for months and months and months I had every fucking route to make the change, but I couldn't take the action element to it. And so what I'm doing is I'm urging our audience, I am begging you to bet on yourself, to hedge your bet in yourself, because what Derek is sharing with you is pure fucking gold right now. What he's telling you is that you have the ability to have the conversation with yourself, to slowly implement changes, to build and create a belief within what you can and can't do, to get to and grab by the horns what it is you want. And that it's okay. This is the beautiful thing about what you said. It's okay that if your dream isn't extravagant as who you follow on social media, not all of you are going to want a Lambo. Some of you are going to want a new
square body Chevy.
Sure, yes. A new gun. The brand new Jordans. Whatever that is for you, it's attainable. But it comes with action. And so, Derek, what I want to ask you, though, is... Well, I was going to get into trauma stuff, but I think we'll do a separate episode on getting through shit. We'll finish this one on the note we're kind of begging here because it just makes sense. But what I want to ask you is, and this is for our audience, like, at what point can people do to, like, how do they sharpen that sword? So for the guys that are kind of like, okay,
I've got something.
I get what you're saying. I'm starting to move changes. I can do this, or maybe I got this idea, Derek. And for our audience, I mean, he built a $100,000 a year business sitting on his ass on his phone. So you can do that too. An hour a day. So say these guys they've got their idea, they're already in the gym, maybe moving 2 days a week, or they're only kind of drinking on the weekends, and whatever. Mm-hmm. They've started the process. How can somebody sharpen that sword?
So number one, don't talk to your friends about it. Don't talk to your fucking family about it. You can bring it up to your wife if you want. But remember, there's always going to be an element of fear coming from them because the fear of change, the fear of the unknown. Just fucking do it. And let me just tell you, so I'm gonna just to back up what you were talking about, that voice inside your head. I learned a hack a long time ago that I don't really share with anybody because it's goofy as fuck, but it's helped me get through so much. Like anytime my mind starts telling me, all right, we're done. All right, I quit. All right, I'm not going anymore. Make that motherfucker sound like Mickey Mouse in your head and try to take him fucking seriously. When that fucking voice starts saying, quit, I'm tired, you're gonna be like, what the fuck? Fuck you. I don't care what the voice is. Change the voice in your head. Change how he sounds. In your mind, subconsciously, you're going to be fucking dying. I remember I was doing 75 hard, and in the beginning of that, I could only walk, and I could barely walk. I was so fucked up. And after about a month of just walking up and down the driveway twice a day, I started adding push-ups into it. And I remember there was like, the driveway had a sheet of ice on it, and it had snowed. And there was like 2 inches. I couldn't shovel. I couldn't do anything at this point. I was like, this is from another injury we didn't discuss, but I remember doing fucking burpees in the fucking ice and snow. And all I can say, you're a fucking idiot. What the fuck are you doing? Just finish your workout. Wait till this shit thaws. Wait till the snow. Wait till you can get it removed. Then you come out here and try it again. And I just kept telling, and it was right before that when the guy had taught me about this, changing the voice sound. And I'm like, I changed it, and I just laughed, and I'm like, fuck you. and I just dove in, and I just kept going, and I just kept going. And so that little hack really, it may not work for everybody, but it sure as hell worked for me. And I think having the knowledge that voice is coming, if you know, all right, today I'm going to go run up and down this hill in the back. So I live on a few acres. It's a pretty massive hill. I'm going to go run up and down this hill with a 60-pound vest. If you pause for a moment and say, all right, I already know my mind's going to tell me this. You're going to be too tired. Your legs are going to be burning. You're going to be out of breath. All right, man, slow down. All right, man, you can walk this one. Take a 30-second pause. Take a 1-minute break. Take a 5-minute break. Hey, let's go get some water. We can finish these out. If you know these are coming, they'll be a lot easier to negate when they hit you. And you could focus on, you know what? I've already gone this far. I'm going to finish this out. Then I can go enjoy what I need to enjoy. But now fast forward back to what you're talking about with, really sharpening that sword and moving forward. Number one, like I said, do not go calling your friends and telling them what idea you have, because I could fucking tell you right now, they're going to give you, well, I thought about that too. But if you do this, then there's this, and you got to do this. I just didn't want to do it. It was such a pain in the ass. So I wouldn't. I mean, you can, if you want to do it, yeah, go ahead. And then it's going to start getting in your head. The next person you talk to is going to tell you the same fucking thing. Don't go talking to anybody about no bullshit. If you're excited and you want to share, find somebody, even if it's a free group on Facebook full of people that are moving the needle, and do that. And you can share with them, because they're going to fucking encourage the fuck out of you, and they're going to ask you how they can help. They're going to ask you, well, what have you done so far? What's holding you back? Where are you moving into now? What's the next process? There's plenty of free groups out there you could dive into where people will be willing to help you.
Sure, 100%. And then what do you think? So you're keeping your mouth shut and you're just executing, essentially, right? At what point do you think people what can they do to start to build that confidence that they can, right? So, one, you're executing. So now you're slowly creating what I call creating the belief, right? You're building that self-belief, that little bit of intuition, that grit, you're literally building your discipline. But what can people do to capitalize on that? Like, how can they stretch that so that they can experience growth faster?
Well, I think that's kind of a trick question. And I say that because faster is not the goal. Better is the goal. Faster should never be the goal. You are going to, as stated in our previous conversation, when you start working on, let's just say you're going to start building a business right now, and you go online and you pull up whatever the business is, and you start reading about it. And you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I didn't know that, but I could do that. Okay, you know what? Let's start with a logo. So you go on and you're like, oh, that's not really good. And then you look up affordable logos and you find Fiverr for $25. You can have a fucking logo. It may not be the best. Let's not get hung up on the bullshit. You want to get this business rolling. It doesn't have to be perfect. Your logo is just an attention grabber. It doesn't have to be like the best thing you've ever seen. So you go on Fiverr. For $35, somebody will make you a logo. Okay. Oh, cool. I got a name. What's my name? Don't waste too much time on that. It's not a big fucking deal. Just make it snappy. Make it something people can remember that correlates to whatever the hell you're selling. Okay. Boom. I got a name. All right. What if I built a landing page? If I build a landing page, it just has my logo. I'll put my logo and my name, and I'll say, enter your email for when we launch for special discounts. You can even say below the name, we are the fastest growing outdoor retailer. Boom. Fastest outdoor clothing line. I'm just using outdoor because that's just what I'm familiar with. Enter your email below, and for a discount, and it will drop you. You'll be the first to be notified when the product drops. So you're giving them incentive, right? So you move to the, so now you've created this. You're like, oh man, now you're starting to get excited because you're like, oh fuck yeah, this shit's happening. All it takes is taking that and putting that out into fucking Facebook world or putting that out on fucking Google or wherever the fuck you put it. And guess what? You've started a business. You've started a business. Now where you go from there? All right, I got to set up an email account because now I got to capture these emails. I got to have somewhere for them to go. Cool. I did that. Boop, boop, boop. Now you're all excited. You're happy. You dive in before you know it. You're 2 hours into work. Like, cool, man. You quit. Don't keep going until you get bogged down and fucking tired. Walk away. All right, I worked for 2 hours. I accomplished a lot. Fuck yeah, we're good. I'm going to come back tomorrow. And I'm going to find out how I can get a website going. So you start looking into website developers. That's kind of expensive. But you know what? I can go on to Shopify. I can go on to Etsy. I can go on to any of these places that have an actual marketplace and templates to build a website. So you can go in there and build your own. That's pretty much like it's made for you. You just plug in your information. Now you got a website. Okay, what products am I going to sell? Well, I think I want to sell this. All right, how am I going to get that? Well, I can go to local shirt shop, have some, I don't have to get the perfect prime t-shirt that I'm making, but I can get a decent t-shirt with a decent logo, and I can get some photos. Call your friends, your buddies, get some pictures, throw them on there. So the point of this is, it's a slow process, but as you make progress, you are going to build confidence. The consistency of accomplishing things will create the confidence to keep going. You're not going to get some hair on your ass every time you wake up that you're going to want to go work on that business. It's not going to happen. There's going to be days that you're going to come home and be like, man, I'll fucking do this. But you know what? Tonight I'll only work on it for 30 minutes. I don't want to do it. And you'll find that those days that you start diving in, you'll spend a lot more time on it than you would have on the normal days. And then that creates that lack of, I don't want to do that. Those days will be less and less. And then you'll start falling in love with what you're doing. You have to be careful you don't fall in love too much because then you'll never want to give up aspects that you need to source out. But so you get the point. Like there will never be an aha moment of what you need to do. There will never be a moment where like it's your business is going to start here and just go through the fucking roof and you're just selling millions. And listen, the companies that it happens to, that's fucking fantastic, but it's not
Absolutely
the norm. It's not the norm. It happens, and it can happen. I'm not saying you can't build a business and start it tomorrow and it blow up to fucking God knows what. It can happen. But just trust that there's a process, stick to the process, and just focus on building those blocks. Focus on just stacking that, whatever it is that you're doing, and the results will come.
Yeah. I want to add a little bit to that too, if you don't mind. I think that you can, I'm curious to see what you think, but I also think that you can set yourself up to be ready to experience more by stretching yourself. And what I mean by that is you start in an arena where you're attacking what you think you are capable of. So let's just say you take a physical challenge, right?
Yeah.
And say, I'm going to do 1,000 push-ups in a day. Well, then you start doing 1,000 push-ups and you realize when you're going to do 1,000 push-ups, rather than do 1,000 push-ups in a day, I'm going to do 1,000 push-ups at once. Like, I'm just going to knock this out. Yes, you could take all day because you don't know if you can do 1,000 push-ups throughout the day. But what, like in this example that I'm trying to use, for me, when I did this, I was like, I'm going to do 500 this morning, then I'll do the other 500 throughout the day. And I realized as I got to 250 or 300, not having done even 1,000 push-ups in a year prior, right? I realized that if I stop now, I'm going to create a space for me not to complete this. So then it became, I now got to just keep going. And 200 became, well, can I get to 500? And 500 became, I'm not going to quit. Now I'm going to 1,000. And 750 became, I can't believe I've made it to 750. This hurts like nobody's fucking business. And then 800 became, holy shit, I'm my own hype man. I'm at 800 push-ups in this morning so far today. And then 900 became, I just need 100 more. And every one hurt. right? But
Yep.
then I just need 100 more, and then 1,000.
But you're so hyped
again.
at that point that those 100 are like, I'm gonna make these 100 my bitch. I got this.
Yes,
You're that
and then
hyped through that progress.
yeah, and you hurt and you're cramping, and for 4 days afterwards, you feel like you got ran over by a freight train. Nobody tells you that that's what's coming, but that's what's coming, and you know that because you've done this as well. Also, you're the reason I fucking did this. But my point is, what that did is it set me up to push myself beyond my limited belief. And so, in things that you can do to, when I say faster, what I mean is to set yourself up to experience and be ready for more growth, is you can stretch yourself physically so that your mental follows. Because then as you stretch yourself and you create this mental monster that can keep up with controlling the conversation in your head and the narrative of your day, right?
Yeah.
You set yourself up to be able to attack bigger, more bold goals, or to be ready for, if something was to fall in your lap, to be able to handle said issue. And I don't think that there's any, I think that in doing these things that I've done and doing these things that you do, a mile lunges, you suffer so that you know you can. Because at the end of that, you know I am capable of more than anybody thinks.
Yep.
More importantly, let me rephrase that. I am capable of more than I think I am.
I think that's a lot of this journey for me has been I lost a lot of self-confidence. I lost myself along the way. And I don't know what it's going to take to get it all back. I don't.
Sure.
But I can tell you the moments following the completion of these challenges, I'm proud of myself. And I can't. Sorry.
You're fine.
And there's not many times that I am in life. So, yeah.
You know, it's interesting. So I just recently did this Dad's December thing. And people will be like, oh, you did the Sorenex. Well, no, I didn't do Sorenex. I did my own rendition. So what I did, and this is for our audience, I know you know, but I started at 100 deadlifts a day. I started at 135 pounds, got to 1,000, so 10 days, and then I did 185 pounds, did 1,000, 10 days, then 225, did 1,000.
Yeah.
Well, I did 1,100 because there's 31 days in December, right? And then I always do plus some, so I ended up doing 3,125 or something about, I think is what it ended up being more than that because I did an extra 100. So it's like, anyway, it was like 3,150, 3,175, somewhere in there. 3,175 deadlifts in a month. I haven't done 3,000. I haven't done 300 deadlifts in the last 10 years.
Right.
Right. But what I've taught myself through this in doing these little challenges, and this is what I want the audience to pick up on, is that I taught myself that I can just put my head down every day and commit to a process and do it. Yeah. So what I'm doing is, and along that journey, what I realized is I'm not doing these deadlifts so that at the end of December, I'm stronger. No. I'm doing these deadlifts so that 90 days from now, I will see what it did for me.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? So, I know that doing these deads is going to build my back and my core so that in 90 days, when I decide to go run 10 miles, my spine will tolerate it now. Because I did 3,125 deadlifts or whatever that number was in December, and my body has caught up to what that benefit is. And more recently, it made it to where I just deadlift for the first time 405 pounds, right? But I wouldn't have even done that if I wouldn't have known to push myself. I did the same thing with squats. Well, now I can squat 275 or even 315 for sets of 8 to 10 if I want to, right? Because I did that just boom, boom, boom. Now I've done 3,000. Well, when you have 3,000 under your belt, your body has to learn to submit to what you want to do. Yeah. What your mind's telling it to. And more importantly, let me just be honest with you, every day, and I would encourage you, if you haven't, to try this, just pick something, whether it's 100 push-ups a day, 100 burpees, pick something, do something. And it doesn't have to even be 100. Just pick a number. But commit to the process, because what you're going to realize is that it gets really fucking boring to do 100 deadlifts a day.
Yeah.
10 sets of 10 while you're doing other shit. It's annoying as fuck. When you're on set 3 of 10, you got 7 more to go, and you're dragging that thing up, and you're smoked, and you know you still got to pick that thing up another 70 times today. It sucks.
Yeah, everything in your head's telling you that's enough. You know what? I'm on set 5, bro. I'm tired. I'll go do this other thing and work this part out. Or I'm gonna set the weight down. I'm gonna wait for a little while. I'll come back to this. Or it's just how our minds work, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. But if you learn to control that, so like for me, I'd still be doing my normal workout, but deads was every set in between until I hit my 100. Right? And then that's become burpees. I've done burpees every day except for 2 days since October. Like, I couldn't tell you the amount. I don't, it's just 30, 40. I just do whatever minus 2 days. I have literally done burpees every day because I don't like it. That's why I do it. And so, but as I've done this, it's created this character now where I can sit here and I can have these conversations with you and reflect and be like, you know what? Going forward and building a business, I think I can take this on, because even though I don't like this aspect of doing this, or even though this scares me, I'm in control of what my story is.
Correct.
So, and then my final question for you, dude, and then I'll let you go because we've been going for about 2 hours now. It's getting late where you are. And like I said, we'll pick up another day. What would you say to somebody that, let me think about how to ask you this for a second. Like, what would you say to somebody that's dealing with that voice in their head telling them they can't, they're not worth it, it's not worth it, your dream too big, you're like, it's not reality. Like, what would you say to that person that's contemplating settling?
That's normal. So let's, before I even say that, that is your way of coping with your fear. That is your way of shutting everything out so you don't have to face that fear, that unknown, and possibly failing in front of your friends and family. That is your way of pushing everything that you want aside and settling for this mediocre or whatever it is you're doing. So when you get in your head and you start saying, "Oh, I just can't. This is just too much." You're doing that because it's easier to go back inside and go sit on the couch and watch the next episode of Yellowstone or whatever the fuck you watch.
Yeah.
So it's normal. Everybody has that in their heads. The most successful people in the world deal with it. That was an eye opener for me with Ed Milet. I was watching. I don't know he was speaking with somebody on stage. I can't remember who it was. And the guy says, I wake up every morning and I rush to my phone to make sure that it's not all a dream and that it hasn't all been stripped away from me. Because I'm afraid that everything that I've worked for and everything that I've earned, everything that I've built, the businesses, the empires, is going to be gone one day when I woke up and it's all going to be a dream. And Ed Milet looked at him and said, "Me too." So think about that. A man like Ed Milet, who's built countless businesses, successful, billionaire, has the same fears that you or I have. So it's common. It's normal. Everybody deals with it. So you can either let it win and go back and sit on the couch, or you can go fucking hammer it out and have those same fears while you have freedom and you are reaching your goals.
I think I'd be more afraid, me personally. I think the idea of not living to my potential or knowing, finding out, like, before I even say that, like, no matter what, you're going to run the same amount of time in life. Like, you're going to run your clock till it runs dead.
Yeah.
And if you can shift your perspective to understand that you can run that thriving, or you can run that surviving, or you can run that dying, drowning.
Because you're going to suffer no matter what.
No matter what, you're going to suffer. No matter what, times are not always going to be good. But you can control the way you perceive that. And so I think that a freeing element for me has been realizing that I'm only going to be here as long as I'm here anyway. Why not make it the best fucking story of a comeback kid that made so many fucking mistakes and then bounced his head off the wall so many damn times, but at the end of the day figured out a way to help as many people as he could.
Why not in 2 years down the road not being able to turn around and say, thank God I'm not there anymore.
Yeah.
Thank God I got out of that. So, yeah.
Well, awesome. Derek, we're at the part, I appreciate your time tonight, but we're at the closing thoughts part. And what I like to do, we're going to do a part 2 with you where we deal with trauma and some other stuff because I think it's very important. But I want to actually spend time on just that. As we were recording this, I kind of thought about that. And I just thought that that's a value in its own. And I really want to let you be able to tell your story on that because that will help people in a different place. But we're at the closing thoughts part. So I like to leave our audience with a book suggestion or quote or something that spoke to you. And I know that on the other side of this, you'll have another one on part 2 when we dig into your story more. But in the getting started, getting going, building, you have to become the character. Like on the brand thing, I want to end with this. When you're building a brand or a business, you need to become the character in your story. Like as a personal brand. Like for me, like Barbarians, right? Like I have to become a barbarian for Barbarians. Like that has to become my identity. My business is my identity. It is me. I am becoming the character that I'm preaching about building. So I'm not on this journey when I'm talking to you or I'm talking to any of our other guests or I'm sharing this, trying to give all these guys information just because like I think I'm this legend above them or I'm doing this because I'm building that barbarian today, now, forging that guy. And I think it's important for people to understand that. So along those lines of building the legend that you are, becoming your own legend, and falling into your purpose. Do you have a book suggestion or a quote or something that spoke to you and as you've started to figure out what your legend is, what your character is?
So there's 2 things that 2 books that really helped me along the way. And I'm going to say them both because they're for 2 different parts of life. The first book is Make Your Bed by William McRaven. And that book was the first book I read when I started diving into changing who I was. And I really think it's an easy read. It's not a fuck ton of pages, pretty short book. But if you implement what you read in that, I think it's really going to help your life and help you start progressing forward in life. The second book,
I got it on the shelf behind us. I was going to hold it up for our audience to see so they could see it, but I can't find it right here, but it's right here somewhere. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
And the second book that I would like, and I think it's important, is Unfuck Your Business. And if you're starting a business, I think this is important because it helps you find what your true core values are. And if you don't know what your core values are, you're going to be doing business willy-nilly. You're going to be accepting all clients, all customers, all business. You're going to work with businesses that you don't believe in their core values. If you stick to your core values, then there's never a point where you feel like you're doing something wrong, doing someone wrong, or doing yourself a disservice. You don't ever have that gut feeling like, oh, I shouldn't do this. If they don't fall within your parameters or your core values, don't do the business. So Unfuck Your Business by Thomas Keenan, I think is his name, and Make Your Bed by William H. Craven.
Awesome. Well, Derek Depew, this has been fun. I know we went down the rabbit hole for our people, but I think that conversation we just had, I mean, me and you, we talk about stuff like this all the time. But I really do think that this will help a lot of people, man. So I really appreciate your time, because I know for me, like your friendships, what's driven me to my success. I mean, it's been a huge part of my journey as far as having somebody to check in with, hold me accountable. And so I appreciate your mentorship. I appreciate your friendship, and I appreciate the example that you set for the rest of us as well, as far as like even going through the hard times that you do, you always find a way to set the bar so that, like, I know I could never be comfortable. I know that now that I'm out doing shit that makes you say fuck you to me, I got to watch my back. Because that's when something, you're going to come out of left field with some sort of savagery that I don't want nothing to do with. So, some dumbass challenge. Anyway.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, it ain't that. Well, Barbarians, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate your guys' time. It's gone about 2 hours, hour and 45 minutes probably when we edit through some of this stuff. But we just want you to know that we love you and we appreciate you. And we sincerely, I know Derek does, I'm speaking for both of us, but I'm speaking for my team here too. We want to see you guys win. So if we can do anything to provide you guys more value, to help you accelerate your career, to help you make that step to get to freedom and autonomy and inspire those around you by doing it, because that's huge as well, please reach out to either of us, any of us, and let us know how we can help you. Do us a favor if you don't mind. Please like, share, subscribe would be great, but even just like and share this episode with somebody you know that could use some of this motivation to just pick themselves up and do something hard. And other than that, we appreciate you guys, and we will see you on the next one.